What's up, everybody? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Look who's here. The one and only Don Cheadle. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing good. How you?
Doing well. How you holding up with everything going on?
I was busy for a long time, and this sort of enforced break is, without obviously the reasons for it, it's turned out to be a respite from, all of that hustle. So on balance, not terrible, although I really, really hope that we can get out of this soon and, pray for everybody who's going through it really heavy.
Yeah, I feel you. And people get a chance to catch up on Black Monday. So season 2, what's been the best part of the experience so far?
Kind of watching it come out and see it all put together, and all the pieces that happen in post. We shoot it, and then we hand it over to the team, and have to show up sometimes and do some ADR. But there's a lot of effects that happen in the show, and seeing how it all comes together, and hearing all the music and getting all the tweaks and making it just right, and seeing the response. People have been really digging it, so that's always that always feels good.
Definitely. How much did you know about the whole situation in 1987?
Well, I knew about it. I was just graduated from college. It didn't affect me so much that I didn't have any money in the stock market, and I was already a starving student anyway, so it didn't really hit me personally that hard. But it was a very interesting time to be alive and to see sort of the cyclical nature of this is really remarkable, and didn't think we would be back here so quickly. But I didn't think that in 2008 either.
Right.
So it's like it happens over and over again, it seems.
Yeah, history has a way of repeating itself, especially with this. And thinking about Mo, I mean, that's definitely an interesting character. When did you really get a sense of who that guy was in terms of playing him?
It's all a process. I think it's, there's more and more pieces of Mo that get put together as the season goes on. And, he's a bit of a Don Draper in some ways, that, he's not who he seems to be often. So seeing all these scripts come out, I mean, we knew what the trajectory was from before the season started, and we understood that we were going to be trying to do something that was pretty unique, and, do a whodunit, basically, in a comedy, in a sitcom, in a half-hour sitcom on cable, something that I have never really seen done before. So we knew it was kind of a high bar, but, who Mo is something that continues to sort of grow over each episode sometimes.
Yeah, it's cool that you can play with that. And also just thinking about it, like, you've had this really long run on Showtime and a great relationship with the network. And what's it been like for you to just have the ability to play these characters with all these different layers?
Well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, Showtime's been a great home for me, and really been a great place to reach out and sort of stretch out and do these shows that are not conventional, about subject matter that's not conventional, about things that are kind of off to the side, and find new and fresh ways to explore that stuff and to do hot takes on stuff. It's really cool. And in this show in particular, the period nature of it, and as we talk about the sort of cyclical nature of what happens, not just with the stock market, but the sort of cultural references and the political references, and the sex dynamics on the show, definitely, and the gender dynamics on the show. All of that stuff is fun to play with, and the writers are kind of fond of saying, it's great to see how far we haven't come in a lot of these instances. So it's great to have a platform to really explore all of those things.
Yeah, you kind of see people for who they are, and some people just don't change. And I think the same can be applied for House of Lies when you think about those characters. So my wife and I just ripped through that in like 3 weeks, and loved watching it. So what was the most interesting part of that experience for you?
The people. I mean, it was a great conceit, and I love the way that we shot it, and breaking the fourth wall, and having just taking time outs to explain very specifically what business consulting is and what it is that they do, because it's such so many people even that have business consultants are like, I don't really know what you do.
Right.
So you have the ability to take that sort of stylistic chance with how to explore that world, but also just the people that I got, Josh and Kristen and Ben and Glenn and Dawn, and just everybody that we got to play with, and Donis. It was just a great experience. And behind the scenes too, Matthew Carnahan, who created the show, and all of our writers in the writers' room. It was just a real cool experience, soup to nuts.
Yeah, the stuff with the fourth wall, like that was pretty early because now we see it, you know, with Fleabag or we saw it with House of Cards. Like you guys were definitely one of the first to kind of play around with that.
I'm just gonna say the first.
Yeah, why not? Let's give me the credit, Don. Come on.
Yeah, just take it. It's not like there was any other medium that ever before broke the fourth wall. In fact, we coined the term. There was no term breaking the fourth wall until we did it. But no, it was, again, stylistically, I think it was a cool chance to take and something that people really sparked to. And I remember one season we barely did it at all. And I'd be on social media and people are like, when are you going to talk to us? When are you going to look at me and talk to me? Because people really felt that connection with the character when that happened. And it was, you know, the timing of when we did it was really, really interesting and fun. And just, again, another stylistic approach that gave us a lot of insight into what these guys did.
Yeah, and there's a lot of BS in that world. And for Marty Kaan as a character, too, there's a lot of different layers. What fascinated you the most about playing him?
Just that. Again, being in a world that was new and kind of playing with the balance between who he was as a father, as a son, as an ex-husband, but as a mate. And trying to really be a good person in that world, and then in the other world trying to do everything he could to just get over. And that's what's cool about playing the side of Mo, because he doesn't have any of that grounding stuff. He doesn't have anything to like sort of anchor him. So he's all id, and he just goes with whatever he wants to go with. And it's completely unhinged, and it's a very different kind of a show, I think. This is a straight up, you know, balls out comedy all the way. 1,000 jokes a minute, and really pushing close to something like farce in a lot of scenes and a lot of situations. So it's a real fun exploration in a character, and all the characters, not just my character, Andrew Reynolds' character, and Dawn and Paul. Everyone's, you know, at the outer limits of their personalities on this show, and it's completely unhinged, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you've explored all these different worlds. Like even with Miles Davis, like that's a totally different world that you pop into. Like what grounded him? Like what was the entry point for trying to play that
role? From a performance point of view, you know, just really the research and really approaching that as a musician first, and really attempting to do something, you know, successfully or not, that was more experiential about the guy than trying to do some sort of a biopic that really made sure that we checked off all the marks and highs and lows that those usually do. Really trying to create a piece that felt like Miles, you know, trying to have something that was more akin to a free form of music than it was to the rules of how to, you know, tell a story vis-a-vis a biopic.
So you've been doing this thing for a while. Why don't you take me back to the start? You're doing your thing in the 80s. Like, what were the initial goals for you? Like, who are the people you were looking at? What did you want to do with all this?
I just wanted to play. I mean, I really, you know, I came from a theater background. I was doing a lot of theater in high school. And I had a great teacher, Kathy Davis, who introduced me to, you know, the method and Stanislavski and Uta Hagen, and really taught us what it was, that it wasn't just about, you know, sunglasses and trying to be a star and get girls. It was really, although I wanted all that too, it was really about trying to get in touch with some stuff and get in touch often with some uncomfortable stuff, and really trying to understand what made these characters tick and what these relationships they were about, you know, and what were their motivations and what they were going after and what were their goals, and just a lot of ways that, you know, when I was at home watching Three's Company, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just cracking up at the show, or, you know, watching my acting heroes, and I wasn't thinking about what they were actually working with. So in high school, I really sort of got hip to that. And then I went to California Institute of the Arts, which was a very conservatory setting, and did a lot more theater and very intensive program. And then graduated from there, and just, you know, I kind of moved to LA. I started working in the business. I got my first job when I was a junior at CalArt. But when I moved into the town, I couldn't really wrap my mind around just sitting around waiting for a gig. So I would leave during pilot season, much to the chagrin of my agent, and go work, you know? So if I'd been offered something to do at a theater, at the Guthrie or the Goodman, in New York, at the Public, I would go do it, because I was like, well, I could wait around and maybe get a job, or I can go do this play, which I already know is great. And I already have a director that I really want to work with, and cast that I really want to work with. So for me, I wanted my career to be an extension of what I was already doing, which was to have the ability to play a lot of different roles and have a lot of different characters and really stretch myself. And all that other stuff, you know, just kind of came, you know.
When was the last time you did a play?
God, the last play I did was right, you know, like 3 days, we wrapped it 3 days before 9/11.
Wow.
So it's been a minute. I've been trying to get back to the stage, and that's something I really want to do. You know, I was raising a family and here, and spending 9 months in New York was never really something that was possible to do, and still have that experience, which I treasured and would never trade and wanted more than anything else. But now, you know, I have grown kids, and it's something that's back on the table.
Yeah, good deal. You mentioned these parts that have really stretched you. Can you pinpoint a couple of them that have really challenged you the most? Like Hotel Rwanda, I'm sure, was one that really stretched you. Like, what else can you think of that really pushed you to that next limit?
Well, I think they all have pushed me to some degree. I mean, some of them are not in garbage, but I think that you take them on with the sort of contract with yourself to try to push yourself to some place. And that's kind of always the goal, is to figure out all the discoveries you can make with these characters, and how far you can challenge within the parameters of the piece, of course, and within, you know, the parameters of what it is that you, as this one piece in the entirety of the, you know, machine, are trying to achieve. But it's really trying, for me, I want them to feel as real as they can be. And I want, you know, if it's a comedy, I want to find the place where it's dramatic and people are like, oh, damn, you know, and conversely, if it's a, you know, dramatic role, I want to find a place where you can laugh at, where you can, you know, experience comedy in a person, because I think that's truthful about who we are. I think we're, you know, most of us are an amalgam of all of that stuff. And if you can figure out how to do that in any specific role you have, then you really get to, you know, see the depth and breadth of a whole character, again, within the plan of what the entirety of the piece is. And you are at the, you know, behest of the director, and you are trying to serve something other than just your own thing. But for my little piece inside the thing, or whatever size the piece is, I'm always trying to figure out how elastic I can make it, how far I can push this person in one direction or the other.
So Don, you can do a lot of things as an actor. LeBron James is a basketball player who can do a lot of different things. What can you tell me about Space Jam 2? What am I looking out for here?
I don't think I could tell you anything about it, really, except I think it's coming out next summer. And then it was just a great joy to work with LeBron, and to see him bring his work ethic and his, you know, team concept to the movie, and really get to know the man, and to really get to appreciate his dedication, and that he never phoned it in. He never sloughed it off. He was always curious about the process. He was always available. He never, you know, was grumbly about what he had to do. He's not used to that kind of a schedule. And it can be, you know, 14 hours.
Yeah, it's a grind.
Yeah, it's a grind. And he was at the same time, you know, nursing an injury, trying to figure out how to come back for the season, you know, putting the team together. All of these things were happening at the same time. So watching, you know, LeBron Inc. while we were doing this show together, and he had to also show up and fully be an actor, was a cool experience.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Don, thanks for hanging out, man. Be good, and we'll talk to you down the road, all right?
Appreciate it. Thank you.